And I'm back with more dual Destinies. And we seemingly had gotten Juniper Woods off the hook. But then we were going to meet Apollo. He was down on the floor. So, I'm going to figure that stuff out. Isn't exactly how I envisioned the second day of trial to begin. But given how things ended yesterday... Good morning. Ugh. The mood sure is tense. Not that I'm not surprised. Oh, hey. Did you read the paper this morning, boss? Huh? Paper? That came out of left field. You didn't read it? And you didn't know about the big news? Somebody spotted an abominable snowman way up in the mountains. Tell me you know the difference between a paper and a tabloid. Might show up in the forest where you live, Junie. You better watch out, okay? You really should read the story for yourself. I couldn't even begin to do it justice. Justice? Huh? Oh, poor Apollo. And it's all my fault. Athena! Oh, what was I thinking? I'm sorry. What we found yesterday was not Apollo's dead body, thank God. He'd been assaulted by someone with a blow to his head and was lying unconscious. We rushed him to the hospital right away, but it looks like he's going to pull through. And it's still quite a shock to stumble onto a scene like that. Is Miss Woods alright? Well, I managed to get her to stop crying. She's resting in the sofa over there. I guess she really feels responsible for what happened. Poor Junie. She believes that was the reason Apollo was attacked. It's because he was helping her look for something in the courtroom. Guess I can see why she'd think that. By the way, how are you doing? Who, me? I know you're concerned about Miss Woods, but are you alright? Me? I'm doing just fine, boss. I mean, yeah, it was a huge shock, but I'm alright. People who studied analytical psychology are great at times like these. After all, we've learned how to control our own emotions, too. Somehow I don't think it's as easy as she makes it sound. But there's no denying she's a real trooper. He doesn't remember a thing, does he? Yeah. Can't recall anything from the time right before he was assaulted. Nothing about what he was doing in courtroom 4 or who assaulted him. Doctor said it's probably due to the blow he took to the back of his head. Assaulted in a court of law and losing your memory at that. I know how that feels. Who in the world would do such a thing, though? Urgh, just wait till I get my hands on that coward! Now. You said you were in control of your emotions. Let's just focus on helping Miss Woods, okay? Well, I admit I'm just as upset as you. Okay, boss, you're right. Apollo's assailant can wait until after we clear her name. That's the spirit. Now, let's see. Better check the court record one more time. Earth to Mr. Wright, I'm ready to wherever you are. Whenever you are. Alright, let's get ready to rumble. You bet! With everything that happened with Apollo, I didn't have time for a proper investigation. I can't let this stop me, though. I have to get this right for Miss Woods' sake, and Apollo's, too. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Juniper Woods. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Defense is also ready. Now then, I believe I instructed the prosecution to further their investigation. Were you able to locate the remote switch in question? I'm afraid the remote switch is still missing, Your Honor. I must say I'm disappointed, Mr. Payne. Not angry, just disappointed. I apologize, Your Honor. Looks like the prosecution is just as unprepared as I am. There is a separate matter, however, that I would like to bring up during this trial. A separate matter, you say? What might that be? I assume you're aware that another incident occurred during yesterday's trial. I'm speaking, of course, of the assault of Mr. Justice in the ruins of courtroom number 4. Why is he bringing that up? What a truly harrowing experience it must have been, poor Justice. Poor Mr. Justice. At the time of the attack, Mr. Justice was not alone. He was with the defendant, Miss Juniper Woods. He isn't going where I think he's going with this, is he? The prosecution wishes to indict Mr. Woods on the charge of Mr. Justice's assault. Order in the court! Mr. Payne, the incident under deliberation here was the court bombing. The assault of Mr. Justice has nothing to do with this trial. Oh, but I believe there is a connection between this case and Mr. Justice's assault. Please take a moment to consider these facts. Both events occurred in courtroom number 4. This is the location in courtroom number 4 where the unconscious Mr. Justice was discovered. As you can see, it was quite close to where Detective Arm's body was found. The question is, why did the culprit feel the need to maliciously attack Mr. Justice? Why indeed? What do you believe to be the motive? I believe that Mr. Justice found something in the courtroom while Miss Woods was with him. Evidence that fingered her as the perpetrator of the bombing. You mean he found some incriminating evidence? Precisely, and so I surmise that the defendant picked up a piece of rubble and hit Mr. Justice in the back of the head in order to silence him.
Objection!
Junie would never do such a thing! She was devastated when we found Apollo hurt like that. Miss Sykes, please control your outbursts. Ahem. It is the prosecution's belief that by deliberating on Mr. Justice's assault, we will draw ever closer to the truth of the courtroom bombing itself. Very well. Miss Woods is hereby officially indicted on the charge of assaulting Mr. Justice. Why are you listening to Mr. Toupee over there? Well, considering our own conversation yesterday. Maybe the two incidents really are related after all. I would like to start by hearing from the defendant herself. Very well, please bring Miss Woods to the witness stand. Ah, crap. I'm sorry. I can't seem to stop. Miss Woods. And she's really still upset. Still really upset about it. Miss Woods, you went to the ruins of courtroom number 4 with Mr. Justice, didn't you? Yes, I did. Good, good. Now, if you would, please testify as to what happened to the court. During the trial yesterday, I was overcome with a fit of coughing. Apollo stayed with me, and we went to the courtroom ruins together. But then, I was called back to the courtroom to give testimony. Apollo insisted on staying behind in courtroom number 4. I swear I didn't attack him. Why would I ever hurt such a kind person? So Mr. Justice stayed by your side while you were feeling unwell. What an admirable young man. I thought his loud voice was his only outstanding feature. He may look like a little imp at times, but Apollo could be really nice, too. I hope she didn't hurt her wrist backhanding that one out. And one has to wonder, why did Mr. Justice stay behind in the ruins? I think Apollo might have figured something out. Something? What kind of something? Something to do with the courtroom bombing kind of something, I think. Oh-ho! New evidence for the case, was it? That's a very big kind of something indeed! Ah, my phone! Fucking... damn it. Stupid fucking... motherfucking... damn it. Dang. I'm trying to be professional and whatever. Okay, good. Nah. Doing this live, I don't fucking care. Okay. Alright, Apollo stayed with me. Okay, good. I believed he mentioned was looking for evidence while I was called away. Objection! Just as I thought. There is a connection between the two incidents. But the defendant has told a very big lie. And what lie is that? When she learned Mr. Justice would be looking for evidence, she attacked him. She attacked him to give herself the chance to destroy that evidence. No, I never. Miss Woods repaid Mr. Justice's kindness with violence. We found the proof of her evil deed, her foul deed, there in the courtroom ruins. What on earth? Did you see it? There in front of Mr. Justice's right hand. Witness the message he left for us. It's written in blood. What? Isn't that? That's right, Your Honor. It says Woods in capital letters. What? I submit that Mr. Justice left us with the name of his attacker before he fainted. No, it can't be true. Why would Apollo write my name? Mr. Wright! The nerve of him leaving that message. Why would he do this? Hey, don't take it out on me. I don't understand it any more than you do. When we discovered Apollo yesterday... we didn't even have a chance to rush over to him. As soon as security heard her scream, they ran and cordoned off the area. After that, they were there in courtroom number 4 with Apollo the whole time. Couldn't investigate anything ourselves and had to leave everything to the police. Still, I never thought they'd find some bloody writing. Now then, please begin your cross-examination. I had it.
Hold it!
Why exactly did you go to the courtroom ruins? We went to look for my medicine to stop my coughing. Your medicine? Why would your medicine be in courtroom number 4? I dropped it in the heat of the moment. Bumrap Riney. He was keeping my medicine safe for me. He has a little compartment that I can put things in, you see. And Phony Fanty has the same kind of pocket. It's where the bomb was inserted. I had put my medicine in for my coughing fits inside a Bumrap Riney. When I told Apollo about it, he said he'd help me go look for him. There was so much rubble in there. I was worried, but there was no rubble or anything in front of the witness stand. So when we got inside, Apollo went straight there and started looking for my Riney in that area. It was so nice of him to do that for me, in spite of all his injuries. Apollo's so strong and kind, just like the trees in the forest. The way she makes him sound, you'd think Apollo was some kind of ancient god. No, wait. So that's why you went to the ruins. I see. There seems to be quite an important fact. Please add it to your testimony.
Objection!
So he started his search with a witness stand? That's right. I guess maybe he wanted to start from the furthest point in the room. He was being so brave and strong. But that's odd. Under the circumstances, he shouldn't have been capable of that. But he was, and still is. May not look it, but he really is brave. And kind, too. No, it's not the part I find fault with. Someone has a crush on him. What you're claiming is something that no one should have been able to do. But I think that anyone can be brave and kind if they wanted to be, Mr. Wright. True, anyone can be brave and kind, but would you take a look at the diagram? With the courtroom in this state, how could he possibly walk up to the witness stand? Oh. I see your point. The rubble blocks off access to the area to the witness stand. Does such a tiny inconsistency even matter? Perhaps the witness is simply misremembering it. Great. Well, I'm not even sure if it matters. A real man doesn't make mountains out of molehills, you know. But that's precisely what Mr. Wright does best. I call slander. So was it really impossible to reach the witness stand? I have to say, it's a bit hard to tell with any accuracy just from the diagram. Mr. Payne, do you have any other photos of the crime scene? Let me see. Ah, yes. I do have one more. Here it is. It's a more pulled back version of the photo I presented before. Huh? What's that hunk of metal on wheels? Mr. Payne, is that metallic object in the photo his transport case? That's right. Is there some kind of problem? Oh yes, the transport case was there in courtroom number 4 when the bomb went off. Must have been there since. Oh, that's it! Miss Woods, have you remembered something? Yes, I just realized. Its position. It's different from before. Its position? The position of what? The position of the big metal thing. The bomb transport case? When Apollo and I went there, it was in a different place. Where the cases in the photo was open space, so it was easy to search the stand. I see, so where was the transport case when you and Mr. Justice saw it? As I recall, I think it was more to the right. To the right? Then that means... in this case, the case was over there at the time of Apollo's attack? Who cares where the transport case was when? What difference does it make? It has nothing to do with at all with this thing that we're talking about, that I'm garbling out of my mouth that I'm reading. Where the transport case was has everything to do with the discussion. In fact, it's so important that it's enough to turn the prosecution's argument on its ear. What? Well, that certainly sounds relevant indeed. And you sound as though you know where the case was at the time of the attack. This diagram shows a crime scene as in the photo. And this is where the transport case was at the time of the assault. Alright, I got this. The bomb transport case was here.
Take that!
Your Honor, I assert that this is where the transport case was at the time of the assault. But that's Inconceivable! Miss Woods, was this where the transport case was when you saw it?
Yes, that's where it was.
Thank you, Miss Woods. I'm sure the court has noted an interesting fact about the position. The transport case covers up the writing in blood. Exactly. The transport case was in that position at the time of the assault. Then no message could have been written there, because the case would have been in the way, which leads us to conclude that Mr. Justice couldn't have left that bloody writing. Why should we believe the defendant's claim that the case was in a different position? She's obviously lying. The fact that the case was moved after the assault is proven by more than Mrs. Woods' testimony alone. What? And where is this proof you're talking about? It's right here in the crime photo. In this photo. What in this photo indicates that the transport case had been moved?
Take that!
Please take a look at the mark that runs over Mr. Justice's bandages. I see it. But what is it? The mark was made by one of the casters from the transport case carrying the bomb. As the case was moved, it ran over his bandages. In other words, the transport case was originally to the right. And then, after Mr. Justice was assaulted, the transport case was moved. What? Just as Miss Woods said, the case was covering the writing at the time of the assault. Therefore, it was impossible for Mr. Justice to have left the message in blood. No! What hair I have is going missing!
You did it, boss. It was a real nail biter, but you pulled it off.
Yep. Should bring down the prosecution's claim like a house of cards. Order! Order in the court! Mr. Wright, that was a very clever deduction. That was nothing. Nothing but pure genius. Take that! Boss, I'm sensing a definite smug and braggy vibe coming off you. I have just one question, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? If Mr. Justice didn't leave this message in blood, then who did?
What?
Huh? Oh. Well. Looks like I should have taken that train of thought. Should have taken that train of thought through to the last station. Well. I've heard a lot about this. So this is Mr. Wright's famous bluffing technique, isn't it? Oh, this feeling, it brings back memories of the old days. Back when you carved out a name for yourself by bluffing your way through thick and thin. Gee, Mr. Wright, the judge kind of makes you sound no better than a 2-bit con artist. You made your argument with such confidence, Mr. Wright. Now, I'd like to hear your answer with just as much confidence. Hey, till the judge asked the question, you didn't catch on either, Buster. What now, boss? I hope you didn't bluff your way into a corner. Think, Phoenix. Think. There's gotta be a way through this. I gotta dig my way to the truth somehow. Who could have written that message?
Take that!
To be honest, I don't actually have any proof of this. But we've come this far. There's no turning back now. Besides Apollo, there was one person who shed blood at the crime scene. A person who shed blood? You don't mean? Oh, but I do. I believe it was Candace Arm who left behind this message in blood. What? Wait, Detective Arm? Are you sure you know what you're doing here? Not really.
Objection!
What kind of ridiculous assertion is that? If you had said the attacker left the message to throw people off, it might have made sense. At first glance, that would seem to be the most reasonable explanation, but Apollo didn't shed enough blood to write such an extensive message. Uh-oh. I see. Even the photo makes it clear there wasn't enough blood to write those letters. And Mr. Justice did survive. I suppose he didn't bleed very extensively in that case. But why would Detective Arm write the defendant's name? There's no connection between the two whatsoever. I didn't even know the lady was killed. They had never even met each other. That's very true. Well then, let's see. Maybe the intended meaning of the message is not what it appears to be. The intended meaning... not what it appears to be. Maybe the message was not intended to be Woods. Coming from you, that's quite the bold statement, Mr. Wright. You wish to assert that this bloody writing could have some other meaning? Yes. For something I pulled out of a wormhole. Could turn out to be true, right? Clearly says Woods, as anyone can plainly see. What other meaning could it possibly have? But Candace Arm was a detective. Maybe Woods only means something to the police. Like a police scanner code, for example. I didn't think of that. You may have tricked his honor, but you'll never get the best of me. I have a thing for studying on the weekends, as you may have guessed. There is no such radio code as Woods in this state, dear Mr. Wright. Is that a fact? Don't look at me. I know as much as you do about police codes. Enough of this. I was quite taken by the defense's new theory, but if they can't substantiate it with anything, I must end it here. Please, wait. Very well, but before we discuss this theory any further, I demand a plausible explanation. So, Mr. Wright, what is the true meaning of the bloody writing? Well, I believe... And no stalling! If you can't come up with an answer, I will declare this discussion officially over. I'm in trouble now. What other meaning could it have? Maybe it means something in another language, or maybe it's a code? Think, Phoenix. You can do this. What piece of evidence will tell us what it really means?
Take that!
The bomb transport case. I've had it about enough. I've about had it up to here with your shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Take a look at the numbers on this case. Does this string look vaguely familiar? What does that have to do with anything? What could those numbers possibly have to do with the case at hand? Now please take a look at the bloody writing shown in the crime photo. I think I see it. That a girl. That's one on my side. It says Woods. Or you could say it's a horse of a different color, Your Honor. The first character isn't a W. It's actually an L and a 1. The next two are zeros. Oh my goodness! The true meaning behind the bloody writing isn't Miss Woods' name. It's a number engraved on the bomb transport case. What are you talking about? The next part doesn't make any sense. The next number is 1. Bloody writing is D.
Objection!
But the number in the case and the bloody writing can be made to match up quite easily. This is how the number of the transport case can be made into the writing. Please erase the third downward stroke in the W on the curved part of the D. Oh! Would you look at that? No, it's meant to be not to be read as a word. The number's L10015, which, if you take away the final R, is the exact number that's on the bomb transport case. Erase 2 lines and they match up, you say? Well, I can change anything into anything else simply by erasing 2 lines. What if we erase 2 lines in your name? Would you be happy, Mr. Wright? Well, would you, Mr. Wright? The only right spelling is right. Okay, doing pretty well. I think I've drawn the right conclusion. Detective Arm's real message to us is the bomb transport case number. Your Honor, the 2 lines were added by the real culprit to intentionally mislead people. What? The original message she left was left behind was the bomb transport case number. But whoever assaulted Apollo changed the message. If you're right, boss, then what do you suppose Detective Arm was trying to tell us? Good question. What does this number represent? Candace Ohm lost her life in the courtroom bombing. Her dying message could only have been that for one purpose. To tell us the name of the one responsible for the bombing. Well, don't keep us in suspense, Mr. Wright. Tell us who she was trying to name. The culprit that the victim was trying to identify is none other than Ted Tonate.
Take that!
The defense wishes to indict Mr. Ted Tonate on the charge of the courtroom bombing. Ted Tonate. Apparently, disarming bombs isn't his only specialty. Somehow the victim must have realized that he was the bomber. So when she was caught in the blast, she left his bomb transport case number as her dying message. She used his own ID number to finger him for the crime. Why would anyone go out of their way to write an ID number? Wouldn't they simply write the person's name? He's got a good point. What do you have to say to that, Mr. Wright? Then only Detective Arm would know the answer to that, but allow me to offer a theory. Perhaps she couldn't recall his name on the heat of the moment. As I recall, this was the first meeting between the two. It's entirely possible they wouldn't have been familiar with each other. Or maybe that using an ID number was a way to hide its true meaning from the real culprit. Thus, lowering the odds they would erase the bloody writing. But no matter what the reason, the important thing is the meaning behind her message. The fact remains she wrote Mr. Tonate's ID number. Now, just one moment. There hasn't been any proof yet it was indeed Detective Arm who wrote it. The bloody writing wasn't found during the investigation after the blast. If she'd left the message, it should have been found at that time. Naturally, Mr. Tonate hid it before anyone else could discover it. There's a simple explanation for how he was able to do so. What? Mr. Tonate was able to cover up the message because the first person to discover the bloody writing was Mr. Tonate himself. When Mr. Tonate saw that the victim had written his ID number, he used the bomb transport case to cover up the bloody writing as a stopgap. So that's why the message in blood was under the transport case. He didn't have enough time to try and scrub away the writing. If he didn't report the body right away, he would look suspicious. So the letters lived to serve another function, where Mr. Tonate used them in another incident. He assaulted Mr. Justice! Exactly. He hit upon a plan to use the bloody writing for his own purposes. So he didn't clean it away. Instead, he made it look like Mr. Justice wrote it. By adding 2 lines to the writing that Detective Arm left behind. He changed the meaning of the message. He made it look like Mr. Justice was accusing Miss Woods of the attack. So that means The only person who could have altered the bloody writing was the courtroom bomber, who was the same person that assaulted Mr. Justice. And that person is Ted Toney. Order in the court! Order, I say! Looks like we'll have to hear from the bomb specialist himself. Mr. Payne, please have Mr. Toney take the witness stand.
Yes, Your Honor.
That was great, Mr. Wright. Just doing what I do best, which is flying by the seat of my pants. Uh-oh. I've finally drawn him back on the witness stand. Looks like you'll get your wish, Goggle Boy. Now watch me take your lies apart. Okay. Cool. Yay! Getting close to the end here. So I'll take another break, and we'll finish this trial next time. Hooray!